I know with certainty they'd rather live out their lives than keep being brought back talking about Epstein. You really think they want that now?
You're speaking on behalf of women, saying that you've personally spoken to victims who said they do not want justice for
I have spoken to no one. I'm just being pragmatic.
Here's who should be.
Money? What do you want?
Here's who should get on with his life.
The truth is out. There's a prisoner and there's a dead guy. That's the truth. All right? That's what happened. If any of you cared about the victims, you wouldn't drag these women who are in childbearing years now, some of them having children, back into the line. You're dragging out women.
You have no idea what these young women
Don't you think if it was you, you'd rather get on with your life? Aren't you done with this?
No, if it were me, I would. And Trump kept tweeting about it.
What are you suggesting?
Throughout the entire bite. I'm suggesting.
I love what you're saying. Trump went into the prison and killed him?
That's not.
I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her.
Why does Trump keep changing his story?
My answer to this whole thing is, who cares?
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. We got Tiffany Cross. She was just absolutely forced to corner this bald idiot, Kevin O'Leary. And I think I know what his whole issue is with this Epstein thing. I don't know, obviously for sure, but you guys let me know in the comments what you think about my theory. Let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
Evidence defenders have always said Trump abandoned Epstein after learning about the abuse. For being a creep is how they described it. But now Trump is abandoning that defense altogether.
He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again.
Now, that was 24 hours ago. And tonight, Trump is going even further, saying that Epstein poached young women who were working at Mar-a-Lago.
Were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Girls, young girls, what is wrong with these people?
Were some of them
young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were. Yes,
Yeah.
What did they do?
In the spa.
What kind of jobs? In the spa.
Yeah, it's people that work in the spa.
On top of that, Trump appeared to confirm that one of the women Epstein stole from him, those were his words, was Virginia Giuffre, who was one of Epstein's most vocal victims.
I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her.
Giuffre died by suicide earlier this year, but this revelation raises even more questions about the timeline of Trump's knowledge of Epstein's behavior. Giuffre had said in a statement and in a deposition that Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her back in 2000 when she was working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago. And yet, in a 2002 interview, Trump was still praising Epstein as a terrific guy and a lot of fun. And, quote, it is even said that he likes beautiful women, as I do, as many of them are on the younger side. Joining us in our fifth seat is attorney Dante Mills. He's a law professor at Temple. This is all just very strange, Dante. Connect the dots here for us in the sense that Trump is embedding himself, I think, more deeply into this Epstein saga by the day. And at the same time that this is happening, Ghislaine Maxwell is trying to push the government into some kind of arrangement that gives her some kind of immunity, perhaps some kind of clemency for the things that she's already been convicted of.
I'm going to start by, Tiffany and I were having a conversation, and she asked me what I was talking about here, and we said the Epstein story, and she said she wasn't a fan of the story. And I tried to then jump in and say, well, it's important because we have to protect these young women, and this is still happening. And she said, well, not that. It's just how it's being covered and what's being highlighted. What's lost in this? It's become a political issue, and what's lost is the victims. Mm-hmm. There are victims here who nobody's being held accountable for abusing them. And not only that, part of punishment is a deterrence. There are future victims that are going to be exposed to people who take advantage of these young girls because nobody's being held accountable. So there is no deterrence from anyone who would harm young women in the same way moving forward. What Donald Trump is doing is talking about all kinds of stories unrelated to the most important part here, which is the victims. He talked about someone that was impacted to the point that she took her own life because of her experience and never once talked about remorse for that, never once said, I had her and could have protected her, but I didn't. His concern was that someone stole one of his employees. That's not how we should be talking about this, and I want to applaud you for kind of highlighting that, because that's what's important.
Tiffany,
here.
I mean, you've expressed your skepticism.
And it's just so disgusting that Trump uses the word stolen, because obviously he sees people as property. And did you notice that the only thing that he seemed to have an issue with is that, as Trump perceived it, someone was taking something from him. It just all has to do with him, always. But not the little girls. Girls, young girls. I'm tired of this young women. They were little girls that were taken, abused, trafficked, traumatized. Those whose lives didn't end short. Trump knew these were young girls, obviously, since Virginia Giuffre, I don't know how to say her last name, was taken from Mar-a-Lago. He knew who Epstein was at that time, right? Like, they put the postage that Trump said Epstein likes women on the younger side, or girls on the younger side. And obviously they were all in the same powerful, wealthy circles. Trump and Epstein were best friends. Of course he knew what he was up to. Like, F that. Trump said about his own lawyer, Michael Cohen's 15-year-old daughter, what a nice piece of ass.
And you were playing tennis and you came off the court. And here's how it was written in Vanity Fair. Somehow Trump's attention was diverted to another skirt walking off a tennis court. Quote, "Look at that piece of ass," Cohen recalls Trump saying as he whistled and pointed. Quote, "I would love some of that." It so happened that Trump was referring to Cohen's then 15-year-old daughter, Samantha. Do you remember that moment? Because it goes on to write that after that, you came over, he wanted you to give him a kiss, and he said, "When did you get such a great figure?"
Think about how disgusting that is. Take a good look at her. If you have to rewind. She's 24 in that interview, I think it was. Could you imagine how much of a baby she looked like 10 years before that, or 9 years before that, at 15 years old? Like, the way Trump and the Republicans are trying to hide the Epstein files, it's obvious, brutally obvious, that something is in there. More than just Trump knew. There's something worse in there. And I wonder what it could be. The guy who would say that comment about a 15-year-old, his own lawyer's daughter. The guy with over 24 sexual assault claims. Civilly held liable rapist. I mean, I wonder, someone please help me, what could it be that's in those Epstein files that Trump is so worried about?
About this, but I mean, as Dante just laid out, that is really ultimately what this is about for the people on the right who care about it, for the people on the left who care about it. Trump thinks that this is all just political games, but there are many people who care about the victims here.
Yes, but again, the victims are what matters. I don't know that people really care about the victims. Again, this became a story because the right-wing extremists thought the Clintons were attached to it. And so then it was political fodder, and let's attach ourselves to it. I wonder, for all the people on the left and the right, the Democrats and Republicans, all the people who care about this, I really wonder, what do we think is going to happen? Do we think that somehow the MAGA base is going to abandon their cult leader because, you know, he's somehow in these Epstein files, or because he lied? I don't think so. We already know he's a liar. He and his wife are both birthers. They lied about where Obama was born. He lies about his crowd sizes at his first inauguration and other campaign events. He lies about the economy. He lies about Obama committing treason. I just don't know that it will have any influence. I think the DOJ should pursue justice on behalf of the victims, but to turn this into like political gamesmanship. Moreover, we already know that Trump has a history of making inappropriate comments for young girls. In 2015, I believe, the reporting from the Daily Beast highlighted that during the Miss Teen USA pageant, he would come in the room when girls as young as 15 were getting undressed.
Well,
that didn't stop people from supporting him.
To your point about who...
I forgot all about that. He has so many examples of who he is, who his character is.
You know, is he really going to get thrown overboard by MAGA? This is Joe Rogan, so he's not exactly 100% MAGA, but he's one of the reasons perhaps that Trump has inroads with the people who actually allowed him to win, which is many people in the middle. Here's what he had to say about the Epstein saga.
When Kash Patel was on here and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. The whole thing was nuts. And then he's like, well, we have a film. We're going to release that film. And the film has a minute missing from it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're babies? Like, what is this? This one's a line in the sand. When you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
I mean, essentially he's saying Trump is insulting the intelligence of his own base.
Which is not, that part is not unusual, right? In general, of saying, tariffs aren't going to hurt you.
What intelligence of his base? What intelligence? I mean, these people are some of the dumbest people. They believe anything. They believe that Democrats were drinking children's blood. Like, these people are not all there. What intelligence?
Or lying about policies. What's unusual about this is Trump has actively told his base to move on. He's called them weaklings and that this is wrong. And it gets to the heart of what really unites left and right in this circumstance. I wish I could say it was the victims, but I think it's about the awareness of power imbalances and how people with power and money can get away with almost anything. And Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were the brokers for people in power to do things that anybody else would have been thrown in prison
But
for.
yeah, we don't have a single name of anybody that's in power that was associated with that.
Which
and
is
this
hard,
is bizarre.
right? And so this gives, it's hard to
Why
believe.
does Trump
ask
keep
a quick
changing his
question
story on this? Can I ask you a question? Sure. Why does Trump keep changing his story?
My answer to this whole thing is, who cares? I mean, this is not new
young girls who
information.
were
We've got
sex
a
trafficked.
felon in prison who will do anything to shorten her sentence, and she wants indemnification. I don't think she's going to get it. Epstein, still dead as of last night, dead today, dead tomorrow, more dead the day after that.
So why is Trump considering, he continues to not rule out pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? To your point, she's been convicted, right? She's been convicted of actually some very serious crimes. And many of the victims are publicly, they implicate her very directly in this whole scheme.
She is a felon convicted.
But why won't Trump rule out pardoning her? Why are they even talking to her about an immunity deal? Why?
Okay, if any of you cared about the victims, you wouldn't drag these women who are in childbearing years now, some of them having children, back into the limelight, back into the same story to expose them again to this hideous outcome, because these guys,
if you don't, the
so
dudes
you
who
want
did
to
it
do
will
that,
do it
you
to
are
somebody
hurting
else.
them.
They could be doing it to somebody else
They
right
don't
now
want
as
you
we
to
sit here on
help them
TV.
anymore. They want them.
How do you know that? What are you basing
I know
that
with
on?
certainty they'd rather
You've
live out
spoken
their
to the
lives to
victims
keep
who
being
said
brought
they don't
back
want justice
talking
brought
about
forth.
Epstein. You really think they want that now?
You're
They're
speaking
done
on
with
behalf
it.
of women, saying that you've personally spoken to victims who said they do
I
not
have
want
spoken
justice
to
pursued.
no one. I'm just being
okay,
pragmatic.
So then that is a
You're
irresponsible
dragging out
statement.
women.
You have
who
no
would
idea what
don't
these
you
young
think
women
if
want.
it was you, you'd rather get on with your life? Aren't you
No,
done
if
with
it
this?
were me, I
You
would
wanna
want
keep-
justice pursued. If
Here's-
it were
what
me.
do you
here's
want?
who
What do
should
you want?
be-
Do you want money? What do you want? What do you
Here's
want?
who should get on with his life.
The truth is out. There's a prisoner and there's a dead guy. That's the truth. All right?
And that's
what
the
happened.
only truth that exists.
But here's the truth that
God, this guy is such an idiot. Think about this, is very telling. Abby asked him, why did Trump not rule out a pardon for Maxwell? And he goes to, you know what I think? Why are we re-traumatizing the victims? Tiffany, you're trying to re-traumatize the victim. Like, why won't you answer that question? I mean, it's just, he's essentially saying, let's sweep it under the rug instead, since we don't want to re-traumatize anyone. He speaks for the women, for the young girls at the time that were traumatized, that were abused, trafficked. And I actually think this is the issue with Kevin. It has to be one of these. The bald idiot, Kevin O'Leary. I don't know if he doesn't want the super rich and powerful punished, right? Because he sees this as maybe an uprising against his own people, rich, powerful people. I don't know. I don't know if he sees them as comrades, or it could be very simple. He has friends that are on the list. Maybe he's on the list. Maybe Trump called him as well, like all the other Republican pundits, to tell them to stop talking about this. And if you are going to talk about this, play defense for me. I don't know what else is this. Who the F knows, but his behavior about this is just odd. It's video after video, segment after segment. It's odd to say the very, very least. And it's just the same argument with him. Even the dumbest, one of the dumbest men alive, Joe Rogan, I think that's been reported and studied, one of the dumbest guys alive, is able to identify that they are being fooled and were played by Trump and all those MAGA pundits. And as far as what Tiffany said earlier, the Republicans and conservatives are staying right by his side. He's not losing any votes as far as politically go. But independents, yeah, he lost a crap ton. And that's why I say, in all honesty, I'm not joking when I say this, don't leave your kids around Republicans, conservatives, these Trump supporters. They excuse even child abuse. Just think about that for a second, if you even need it. And just one more thing to say about this. Part of the reason, or we'll finish out the segment after I say this, part of the reason why these Epstein files are so important is that obviously so that the victims can get some level of justice. And what better way to honor them than to try and take down anyone who's involved? Like, and they mentioned earlier, like, what would be a better way to stop them from doing this again? For all we know, this is still going on. Democrat, Republican, I don't give a F who's on this. They should all face consequences. And it would set an important example that even the most powerful will face justice. In a world where the super rich and powerful are just parasites, taking and taking and taking. And I say now, it's time they get some.
We know is that Jeffrey Epstein was in prison
Is
for
he
many
still
of these
dead, by the
crimes.
way?
He died on Trump's watch under Bill Barr as Attorney General.
Trump kill him?
Bill
Is that what
Barr
you're
said
saying?
there's nothing to see here. Let's move on. Justice has been served. And Trump kept tweeting about it.
What are you suggesting?
Throughout the entire bite. I am suggesting.
I love what you're saying. Trump went into the prison and
Let me
killed
finish the
him?
sentence then.
That's not what
No,
she's
what
saying.
I'm telling you is that Trump continued this story. The reason this story exists is because
But what
Trump
we do is we can
continued
remove
it
Trump from
through
the
the
story.
Biden administration, through his early years, to the point where his attorney general said that she's going to look at the papers on her desk. They're there right now. She has hundreds of hours of video to release. This is all of his own doing, and now he's trying to walk himself out of the hole.
And she
Hold on,
said
let
his
me
name's
get
according to
Brooke in
reporting by
here
the Wall
because
Street
let me,
Journal.
Brooke, let me
His
just
name is
show
in
you
the
this
files.
because earlier this week, Elon Musk amplified this message on X with a bullseye saying that this is spot on. The message says, here's how it all goes down. Ghislaine names a bunch of Democrats, maybe tosses in a few billionaires. She says Trump did nothing wrong. MAGA praises her for taking down pedophiles. Trump pardons her for telling the truth. For many people, it looks like a very convenient sequence of events that would be very favorable to Donald Trump if there was anything embarrassing about him in this whole saga.
Trump is not
Well,
pardoned
look,
her.
we started this whole conversation, I think, with a very intelligent statement, which is we don't want to politicize the issue. But now all we're doing is politicizing it. This is not an issue that just occurred during the Trump administration. We all know that. Now, I want to say something, and I want my position to be clear. Ghislaine is a terrible, horrible person. I think it would be an awful idea to give her a pardon. I think she should rot in jail. I don't think, however, that Trump is fearful of what may come out. He is suing the Wall Street Journal for defamation. Everybody knows in a lawsuit you have to testify, you go through discovery. If he was afraid of something coming out, I don't think he would do that. He actually just directed the Department of Justice to request of a Florida court, which denied the request to release the grand jury testimony. It might go to a New York court. I think it is going to a New York court this August the 7th.
He also has access to documents that are not
Well, the
under court
FBI
control.
does, and
That
that's the curious part about it, and that's why.
And also, I think that I think that look, I'm not saying Trump, actually, there is anything about Trump. I'm just asking the question that everybody's asking, which is why then does he continue to talk about this, to act incredibly defensively, to put his former personal attorney in a position where he could offer leniency to someone who was involved in order to,
Right, but we want
to release
accountability,
information
right?
that perhaps
But that's the
might
only
be
way.
damaging to other
We
people.
don't have
Department of
co-conspirators
Justice-
right now. Why has no one been brought in as a
Is
co-conspirator?
that really the only way when
Well,
there's
apparently
like
so.
there are like 10 gigabytes of data that the FBI
And they were on an
has?
island you have to
I don't
fly
think-
to.
Right.
And
information.
the irony is that after all the promises of releasing files and claiming about information that most people say doesn't really exist, right? Most people are saying there is not a list of, a black book of all of his clients, right? But the build up to it, the constant conversations to the point where your own deputy director at the FBI, an ardent MAGA fan, is like, we're bungling this right now, and I can't handle this. Why did the Justice Department release there's nothing to be seen here, unsigned statement on a Monday? Right? Like, this is poorly handled, and Trump is only making it worse.
And any American family sitting at the kitchen table tonight, why do they care? How does
Because
this
their
make
daughter
their
will
life
go missing
better?
because she's
No,
sex
no, no.
trafficked.
Why does this make their life better tomorrow?
What are we talking
Rather than
about?
have the
Impossible
government
not
worrying
to
about things
care.
that matter.
At
This
this
is
point,
not
it's
the number one
impossible
agenda
not to
item.
care.
of American
It is the
Release
same.
the list and get these predators off the street. It will matter
is
to a
it?
family
It
that your
is
daughter
every
is
day.
recruited
But what does
and
that have to
and
do with
molested
that guy?
by
They
somebody
can't release
who's
a
been doing
list.
it.
I'll tell you why they can't release a list. First of
Because Trump is involved. Stop trying to. The party of law and order, right? And like, why do we want this list out? Why do we want accountability and justice? I mean, this is incredible how they play defense. And I'm not surprised by the crazy lady here on the left that Tiffany Cross's eyes are just burning through her soul. She completely, in my previous video, she completely is excusing the starving of the Palestinian children, the Palestinian people. Completely okay with this. Like, she's a sick person. I'm not surprised that she's trying to defend the child abusers and the clearly predator-in-chief, or at least very likely predator-in-chief.
we're assuming, okay, but
quick
what are
last
the
word here,
files?
and then we gotta
The
go.
files are everything the FBI went and got from his house. What's in there is probably sensitive material about underage girls. They can't just release that. There's no list that he has that says this person.
You really believe they don't know not one person that participated in
You know,
this? That's
it's
bizarre.
all media speculation. There's zero facts. And that's what we've been doing over and over again on News Night and all these shows, is just speculating. And that's why this is now a story that everybody wants to continue
It
speculating
was a
around.
story
It's
for
like a
years
snowball.
before Trump came into office. We've all acknowledged
really,
that.
I mean, it's really only a story because Trump promised his supporters he would do something about it.
Abby,
and
the
he
only
didn't.
way this story works
we have to
is
go
Epstein
here,
comes
Kevin.
back tomorrow to testify.
Dante Mills, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Diablo, this is amazing. These MAGA pundits can yell. It's all speculation, all they want. Hey, idiot, it's only speculation because Trump and the Republicans are blocking the release of the Epstein files. This could all be ended if they just release the files. Block the name of the victims. It's not that hard. Like, come on. This is the United States government. You are going to tell me we don't have the resources, the knowledge, in order to release the files without harming the victims? This is just nonsense. And why, when the vote was taken a couple of weeks ago, every Democrat voted to release the files? The only Republicans that voted to block it, the only people that voted to block it were Republicans. Why did Trump have hundreds of agents search the Epstein files for his name? And why has since he's been losing his mind more than previously? This is the best one. Why did Republicans just take a break for vacation a month early? Where's the missing minute video footage of the prison where Epstein was? I mean, like, this is incredible. And just to go back to something that happened earlier, a broken brain is right sometimes. Speaking about that creepy crawler, Elon Musk, Trump is going to pardon her. After she says a bunch of lies about Democrats, it's just so obvious. This is why he won't rule it out. He's done this before when he issues pardons. He says, oh, I haven't thought about it. And then obvious what's going to happen next, Republicans are going to eat it up. Oh, you see, we were right. Look at all the Democrats that are involved. And believe Ghislaine. This is amazing. And they're going to eat it up like the little baby birds they are. Stupid and losers like Trump called them a few weeks ago. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps get the message out there. and I'll catch you in the next one.